Alrighty, dumb clarification note before we go on. My divisive presidents thing was kind of ass in some respects. Ronald Reagan and Abraham Lincoln could both be said to be divisive for varying reasons, and some of those reasons are why they had attempts on their life, whether or not you or I agree with those. But my broader point may have been that assassinations are relatively rare, and we don't know the full motives behind why McCheese was assassinated, and whether or not that reflects a broader public sentiment. So I don't know whether or not it applies to Ronald's potential popularity as a whole.
Quite a lot for something I never even acknowledged. Let's go on to the actual comments and arguments we gotta go over.
I think I'll have to place my McBets on Ron. He's definitely the more appealing candidate, as Ducko pointed out. I mean, he's got a charity, has connections to the previous candidate, and seems to like America more. His experience in advertising also means he can run a successful smear campaign to get the clowns to turn against Clownpiece. Clownpiece's best bet is to make a wish, but that's what we call cheating! With all the cosmic or magical clowns out there, I don't see this wish going unnoticed. Considering those guys have the power to destroy both Clownpiece and Ronald, I'd say it's safer to keep away from the wishing and just try to campaign. Becoming the president of Americlowns is not something to lose your life over. Yes, I'm pitching that Pennywise and Kefka are going to be moderating the debate to make sure it's fair. I can't speak for Kefka, but I know Pennywise doesn't want Earth to go to shit, since he'll lose all his food. Children. Who takes care of children and would probably not make destructive choices? Ronald! His food probably also makes children fatter and easier for Pennywise to eat. Oh my goodness. Okay, and Ronald can also freeze and rewind time. He could go back to before Clownpiece even made the wish and prevent her from doing it. Possibly by giving her a Big Mac and convincing her to fight in a fair election. I figure the population is made of mostly generic humans dressed as clowns. It's just made of every clown in fiction, or else the planet's population would be way lower than normal. It's just that we have a good few evil clowns running amok. Besides, would the evil clowns even vote? Normal people sometimes don't vote, so I can't see people like Sweet Tooth or Twisty or the Joker voting for the president. The more peaceful clowns actually would want to vote, and since we've established Ronald as a better candidate, he should take this victory. The wish thing. I see several points with this. 1, it very much is cheating. 2, Ronald has shown some resistance to such things, and his own magical prowess, as well as some time manipulation, so he could undo the wish entirely. 3, even if the evil magic clowns also know of this, they will be more pissed off than anything that someone just randomly wished themselves into power, and will consider them a threat that needs to be eliminated in some way. The general clown population, if they are made of regularly minded people, will also not appreciate all freedom of choice being blatantly taken away like this. I think everyone will be against her in this choice.
People are getting mad over a little girl making a simple wish? How would they even be able to prove that the wish she made had any real magical effect? For all we know, she could have just gotten lucky and won. I also want to mention the bit about the smear campaign. Ronald certainly wouldn't be mean. As Ducko said, Ronald is a really nice guy.
I will say that Ronald has his own magical skill, not to mention that he has the ability to turn back time, thus undoing the wish itself entirely. He could either record or prove with his magic that it happened, or just discard it entirely, forcing the election to be put on an even playing field. As far as a smear campaign goes, Ronald would not have to be that vicious, he would just have to be straightforward about the nature of Clownpiece. I think that could be enough.
Adam Gregory 03 says, being honest, neither of them seem like they're qualified to be president, and I wouldn't want to vote for either of them. With that said, the scenario didn't really need to be this elaborate, since America already has a history of electing clowns for president. Thinking on the scenario, it only says that clowns took over the world and not that humanity was wiped out. And assuming all clowns in this world are put into the world's politics or positions of power, i.e. the Joker being mayor of Gotham now, then I don't think Mage's point about Clownpiece appealing to the more psychotic clowns holds much weight, since other political figures and world leaders don't usually get involved with the presidency unless it's part of a scandal, so this decision will ultimately still fall upon the general public. So with that said, I have to side with Ronald on this one, basically because I agree with all of Ducko's points in his favor, but also because of one factor that wasn't brought up, the Electoral College. I am aware that this isn't a clown apocalypse version of America, but nowhere is it stated that the political systems for it have changed. There's a lot to go into with that in mind, but from my understanding, they can go against the popular vote to elect whoever they want. Just like what happened with the last election, with that being brought up here. Which would therefore be another blow against Clownpiece's chances. Even if she was to garner popularity to rival Ronald's, the Electoral College could simply just give the presidency to Ronald anyway, since he's the far more iconic clown of the two. I'm aware that's a pretty shallow reason, but as far as I know, the college makes their decisions based on them. Plus, they probably would side more with the candidate that's not a demon from hell, assuming other clowns are already in positions of power, including the more villainous ones. America's enough of a hellscape as it is. Also, yeah, given the choice between the two, my vote would go to Ronald, I guess.
The Electoral College is a pain in the ass that reflects a lot of weirdly districted and proportioned stuff. I don't want to get into it, but I'll probably say it's a point in neither's favor. And if one overwhelmingly has the popular vote over the others, then they'll probably also have more delegates as well. If it's close, then I don't know, but I feel like Clownpiece would do a lot more to give herself bad publicity.
I'm a Canadian, so I don't understand how politics work in the States all that well, so I can't really say anything on that front. Clownpiece could entirely give herself bad publicity, but since when has that stopped literally any presidential candidate? I think the current president had innumerable controversies surrounding him, and yet he's in office. I don't think this would be as much of a downside for Clownpiece as you think it would be. Also, Clownpiece isn't a demon, she's a fairy who was cursed with being born in hell. The entirety of Visionary Fairy's Shrine is her getting out of hell and getting along with the rest of her kind and saving the entirety of nature, which will get a lot of people on her side.
Both have the magical abilities to save nature or benefit it in their own way, as I mentioned before. So it depends. Let's get to Combo Breaker's comment and see what he's got to add to this combo meal matchup. I think Ronald McDonald is going to win the election fairly easily for a handful of reasons. Ronald knows how to market himself better, and his company as well. Also, it's very expensive, and, well, Ronald McDonald would have more funding. That's what it seems to be saying here. And, Clownpiece doesn't even have American money, yeah? Oh, the memes. Oh my goodness, the memes. But, yeah, Isabelle's not even a clown. She's not even running. Come on now. Once again, Ronald completely blows Clownpiece out of the water in terms of publicity, monetary, and political resources. What Clownpiece mainly has are magical resources, which Ronald can also boast. It has been somewhat demonstrated that in terms of more nefarious magical intent, she has competition more than backup. As for Isabelle, she's a dog, not a clown. So don't be ridiculous.
Okay, I will have to concede on the money front. Fairies aren't exactly capable of giving much monetarily. But she is still extremely fast and can fly, which cuts a lot of her expenses. She has people who can shut down Ronald's campaign on her side and even has a goddess on her side. And I'm quite certain that someone divine would get more people on one side than a bunch of ads.
Separation of church and state, man. Sure. Now we go to Burger or Kieran King. Very funny.
Kieran King says, I think I'm going to go for Clownpiece on this one, despite me loving McDonald's. There's a lot of things going against him, like his food being unhealthy and the controversy with people literally pissing in the ball pit. And let's not bring up the fact that it has a very bad reputation of having weird pink paste used to make chicken nuggets. While on the other hand, I don't know much about Clownpiece, but Clownpiece does have a lot going for her. Sure, Ronald can do magic, but so can Clownpiece. I say her reputation is better than Ronald, plus she knows when not to say something bad or do something wrong. And you can't let looks fool you either. She is very much capable of being the president, and at least she doesn't sell food that makes people unhealthy. So that is my vote and my reasoning on why Clownpiece should win this. Also, she has clown in her name, so the clowns would vote for her because she has clown in her name. Okay, I'm kidding about the last one.
With all the controversies surrounding McDonald's, they at least never outright said a natural disaster was nothing. And they would at least treat people as, well, people, and not the whole frying ants thing. Magic is a wash, and I've sort of gone over why it's not that big of an advantage for Clownpiece, given that it can be negated by not only Ronald, but numerous others if they're involved. Ronald would use his magic more to help people, whereas Clownpiece would use it to circumvent there being competition entirely, which, in my opinion, is a blatantly bad idea.
Clownpiece would certainly use her magic to help others. She has inherently good people on her side who would steer her in the right direction. Clownpiece may be a dumb fairy, but at least she is one that learns from her mistakes and others. People would likely vote for someone who can fess up to their mistakes and takes actions to fix those problems.
I feel like, though, it'd be better if the candidate didn't make a big screw-up at all, which I feel like is more likely for Ronald McDonald than the less real-world experienced Clownpiece. Now for Ribbit Theater. Froggy Meal. Alright, no more food-related transitions. Personally, I think the most important aspect here is that running a clown society means they'll undoubtedly run into the melted clown penis academic. What is... Okay, but... So, Clownpiece can delay it by improving the environment, while Ronald often visits sick children in the hospital. But Ronald's advantage is the one that I see raking in votes, though, through likability alone, and thus, I'd edge this out to him. What is melted clown penis academic?
Don't you mean pandemic?
I think it's good that Ronald visits sick kids and has his own charity, but I still do not know what melted clown penis academic has to do with anything, aside from being clown. Yeah.
Lichzim the Great says,
Ah, I see my comment was removed, I think. I admit I hadn't seen much of the video before writing, lol. Still think Clownpiece wins this presidential debate.
I don't know why the comment would be removed, and I'm sorry if that happened, but also, I sense bias, seeing as how that profile pic more resembles Touhou than McDonald's land. Sneaky, sneaky.
I don't see anyone in that profile picture aside from Marks and that girl Ronald did the funny dance with. I don't know why you think Touhou is in that profile pic, Ducko.
Super hard, but I gotta go with Ronald. Yeah, more people know him. Some bad clowns won't even know Clownpiece. The other mascots like Mickey Mouse and Sonic would help, but make it rigged. Hang on. Wasn't I talking about no cheating earlier? Parents will go for Ronald, since he cares for kids, so we're alright, sure. Yeah. There's two people so far that have said Ronald will just give... We'll give Clownpiece a Big Mac instead of her making the wish. Just tell her, don't make the wish, just have a Big Mac. Well, thank you for the compliments. As well, okay. We're already assuming a bit by thinking every clown in fiction exists here, but I'm not 100% sure if I can take Mickey Mouse or Sonic into account, especially after the Clown Uprising. What would be their form in this world? I do not know. I would agree that the corporate world, in general, is more for Ronald than Clownpiece, and they've almost always been clowns. Some of these are sort of points of mine, but I am confused by Cindy switching between saying parents will or will not go for Ronald.
I think Cindy means that both have reasons parents would vote for either. Also, I doubt people would vote for someone because they were backed by every major corporation in the world. In fact, that may make people a lot less trusting of Ronald, making him a pawn of money-hungry corporate monsters.
You were saying earlier that corruption is apparently fine. This would be mild and par for the course in comparison.
Nick Edit says, well, I think Ronald should win. He had converted his two friends, the Grimace and the Hamburglar, to formal criminals into innocent bystanders, so basically criminals would be gone. The dude has connections with the sun, the moon, and multiple heroes from Spider-Man to Shrek. Shrek. My favorite superhero is Shrek. I mean, they had to sign a contract for Happy Meal toys, so basically, he has a stronger justice force. And even then, he summoned food, so world hunger would be gone, and basically fruits and milk and water are now basically everywhere. Let's be honest, Ronald is popular. Have you forgotten about Ron Ron Roo? And he can summon books, so basically illiteracy would be gone. And the dude has a professor friend who made a rocket to go to the moon, so basically space travel would be basically normal. And Ronald has toys, so most kids would probably vote for him. So Ronald would probably win, he's popular with the kids, and every adult in America knows who Ronald is. And even then, Ronald still has connections to most people like Grimace. Has been contacted by Donald Trump, a former president, before he became a clown, so he would probably know how to get more votes. So yeah, Ronald would win, he's just too kind. And even then, litter would be gone. He has connections with the moon, who probably knows other planets, whose aliens probably eat litter. So I think Ronald would win, he's just too popular.
Various disconnected points after going through this. Reforming criminals is a good point, although Grimace's missing arms are curious. Connections are good, as always. Summoning food is good. Pretty much one of the most helpful things either can do, and it's Ronald's. Summoning books? Again, this really shows that Ronald's interests are in the public good, first and foremost. Now, what do you mean before he became a clown? There was a point where he wasn't? Easy joke to be made, certainly. Again, Ronald does do a lot of this, and it does show that he pretty much always has good intent, and knows how to enact it. Whereas Clownpiece doesn't really show good intent, mostly. Just whatever she wants. She's trying to be a public servant here, and even with an incredibly cynical worldview, the guy who can literally solve world hunger in less than a month, just about, is a good bet to win an election.
There are a few points that I am confused about, like somehow solving illiteracy via summoning books, kids voting. A lot of this sounds really illogical. Then again, we're talking about a magic burger clown and a fairy from hell. Logic isn't really an important factor here, I guess.
Due to McDonald's being the world's most beloved and well-known fast food, so due to his big friend list like Mario and Sonic, and they might have their games for a giveaway if people vote for him, so I think McDonald's clown gets the crown. Okay. This is another thing that points towards what I've been saying. McDonald's is global, intergalactic even, and has a ton of connections. Everyone from Mario to Sonic to Max's favorite Shrek, to Spider-Man, to Batman, to Disney, to Lego, to Michael Jordan, to Charles Barkley, to Kanye West, to George Costanza, and beyond, has some association with McDonald's. And assumedly, some of these figures are still around in some form. Clownpiece can boast some associations to deities that are not broadly worshipped. Could they be powerful? Well, the public won't know immediately, when there's that much backing Ronald and comparably powerful opposition, both directly working for Ronald's camp and in the broader clown world in general.
I think the very concept of Clownpiece existing, confirmation of there being deities, and confirmation that there is an entire universe separate from our own world will get plenty of people talking about Clownpiece to where she should be able to keep up with Ronald in terms of popularity. Everyone knows Ronald, sure, but this clown girl? She's new! She's different! Epic Monkey says, I'm going with the Ronald because what Ducko said, but also because I think both of Mage's points were focused on two things. 1. McDonald's is bad, so nobody will vote Ronald. 2. Most clowns are bad, so no one will vote Ronald. The first statement isn't right for the stuff Ducko said. It's assuming that Ronald has the same motives as people who run McDonald's, and that just isn't true. He's just a very kind person who wants to make children happy. The second statement is true, but I'm sure Ronald can turn them around. As said earlier, Ronald is the type of person who can see the good in Hamburglar. And if he can see the good in all these clowns, I'm sure he can turn them to good and get them on his side. Also, if Clownpiece tried to wish herself to win or whatever, Ronald will notice this and turn golden and say, Lee! And stop her from doing that before the other clowns could even notice what happened.
Ronald the character indeed doesn't fully reflect McDonald's, and vice versa. While they are both heavily associated, they are not the exact same entity. If Ronald entered the real world, his magic could lead to a lot of breakthroughs that would heavily benefit the society in which we live, clown or not. Whereas Clownpiece, while having magic, seems to mostly use it for herself. As for evil clowns, while they may not exactly have the same vibe as the canonical Ronald, they have no reason to outright hate him, whereas they could with Clownpiece, as I have said. Not to mention the point that the monkey makes, that of mass clown reform. Ronald could be seen as a candidate that unifies the remnants of both the former human society and the clown society. I feel like I have said clown and society too much, but no, I will not go for the low-hanging fruit. As for the last point, it is some kind of Rivals of Aether or Mugen meme, I think, but it does somewhat illustrate my point of Ronald countering Clownpiece's magic. At which point, what are her options that overwhelmingly outweigh Ronald's?
McDonald's bad. Ronald may be a good person, but we've had countless good people in history lose to worse people, and even get killed for being too good. Also, for options that outweigh Ronald, I would like to mention that Clownpiece can't die. She comes back from the dead if she's ever killed. Having a president that can't be assassinated is a good thing.
I don't have much to say on this one since I don't know much about either side, but I'd probably go with Ronald here. Clownpiece being associated with hell is definitely going to be a huge turnoff for a good amount of voters, even more than Ronald having friends who are criminals. There's also the issue of her not even being from Earth. While Ronald is a well-established icon and has been for decades. Sure, a lot of people hate McDonald's, but they likely don't make up the majority. The fact that McDonald's is still in business is proof that lots of people still like it, I suppose. Ronald takes the regular win. No. The association with hell is dependent on whether or not Clown America has Christianity as ingrained into its culture as not explicitly Clown America. That, like most of our points about the voting population, depends on the ratio of outright evil clowns as opposed to normal clowns who are as varied as normal people. Well, relatively speaking, normal.
Yeah, honestly, this mostly depends on the good to bad ratios of clowns. I don't have much to say beyond that. Gunslinger127 says, I go with Ronald, if he could see the best in the hamburger. I think he could have a decent chance at reforming some of the evil clowns, though I don't think he could reform everyone, as some like Pennywise and the Joker are impossible to reform. Well, sure, Clownpiece could have the evil clowns on her side. Ronald would get more of the common, non-blood-hungry clowns and the people on his side, which I think is where more of the population is, and Ronald would be fitting to replace the previous president, having more of a connection to him. Also, there is no way someone who came from hell can get tons of people on their side that aren't blood-hungry or evil.
Kind of related to our good and evil clowns point that we've been going over for a while. I assume because most clowns in real life are regular mortals, and evil, all-powerful clowns are supposed to be an outlier, that would mean that most of the clown population is not all evil.
Clowns are depicted as evil more often than not, and if they took over the planet, they're for sure evil. They would want a president who'd let them carry out their evil deeds.
Geez, my brain is fried. Get it? I do. Ronald has the advantage to call the sun and the moon, as well as more awareness of media and food, but Clownpiece can summon fairies and is friends with the goddess of hell, which makes her win the side the evil clown. So to me, this is a stomp, but that definitely won't stop you guys, just wanted to say that now. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go eat my chicken nugget Happy Meal with my Onward toy. Oh my god, we started this when Onward was recent. I'm sorry, guys. Stomp? My good Sir CJ, this is much closer than you put it. I have brought up before that if Clownpiece is to rely on her hell and magic connections, she is either going to not be accepted by the regular populace because of this, or she is going to be involved in a more direct power struggle with the likes of Pennywise or Kefka. This is an area where she is powerful, yes, but it is not one where she will outright win. Not to mention that Ronald has magic of his own that can reverse time or otherwise expose her for using it for dirty tactics. Once again, this leaves her with her political, social, and mental skills. I have already laid out how Ronald, having lived among us Earthlings for decades, and having made numerous deals and connections within such a space, is superior in this regard.
Sir Ducko, I do believe that my good man CJ is correct here. It is a stomp, yet we do not know who is in fact stomping. It is a dilemma we must answer ourselves, reflecting on our previous statements. Truly, this man is the most wise of all of us. Huan says, the lack of Bad Apple playing in the background disturbs me. You better fix that for part 2. Anyways, if you want my hot take about it, since there are other clowns that exist in this universe, are you really trusting them to have an election and be civil about it? Sure, you have the good ones, but a majority of said clowns, example given Pennywise, killer clowns from outer space, Joker, etc., want nothing but anarchy and will probably jump at any chance they can get to follow the leading. To a giant clown royale massacre where eventually only one will remain standing and the most of the world's population would be super dead. That would suck, but meh. I'm not saying that. I don't want the clowns to hunt me down. But hey, if we're trusting them to be civil, I'll side with Ronald. Albert barely as Mage managed to argue a good case for Clownpiece. The world would still probably go to crap anyways after either one of them win. But hey, clowns.
Okay, let's play Bad Apple in the background of Huiyan's comment. I'll say that your theory about how clown government develops later is possible, which could screw over both of our candidates. But I will say that if the majority of clowns are just the kind you find coming from the circus or clown college, they will probably go for the lighthearted, goofy, yet comparatively reasonable Ronald McDonald. Clowns get a bad rap, but at the end of the day, most real-life clowns are here to entertain you and make you smile. And if they also view the all-powerful evil clowns as a threat, they may possibly choose a benevolent, fun-loving candidate, who does also have the magic to help defend against such threats. I believe this would be Ronald, under such a circumstance.
Play the original Bad Apple, specifically from Lotus Land Story, right here, right now. Interrupt the remix Bad Apple. Clowns get a bad rep. They'd vote for a clown that also is misunderstood. The people can identify with Clownpiece, not only with her strange nature, but with her also being judged merely for being a fairy. Also, you're saying that Clownpiece isn't fun-loving? She's a fairy. She inherently loves having a good laugh.
Did you guys forget that Mac tonight is racist? I don't think some 10 will want to vote for the guy who's friends with him. Sorry for if any of the words are writing badly. I'm an English-speaking country. If I'm from a Spanish-speaking country, so yeah. Edit. This was my failed attempt at a cursed comment.
Mac Tonight is not a racist. You are mistaking him for Moonman, the racist meme that was made using his image in an unauthorized manner. Mac Tonight and Ronald will all completely disavow this.
You know who isn't racist, though? Clownpiece. Mythical Mew says, all in all, I think Clownpiece would win. Not only would her direct connections be of great help, such as how Mage stated, along with their nature possibly appealing to clowns, but should it be possible to employ indirect connections, she gains more of an edge. For instance, if she got Aya on her side, Clownpiece would have a news source who is known to stretch the truth and exaggerate fact, portraying Clownpiece as a better candidate. Additionally, it would be possible for Hattie to dig up any previous information beneficial to Clownpiece using her own ability. Furthermore, Clownpiece currently lives under the Hakore Shrine, giving her a connection to Reimu, as demonstrated in Chapter 2 of Wild and Horned Hermit. Reimu has friendly connections to at least some gods, including one capable of making entirely new metals in a single night. However, even without the possibility of indirect connections, Clownpiece still holds everything Mage mentioned. Additionally, I should mention that the reason she wears clothing in the style of the American flag was not to mock America, but instead to mock the lunar capital, which Zune has compared to China.
This comment is very much on the Touhou side of things. I saw very little acknowledgement of the Ronald McDonald side of things. If there is one news source overwhelmingly supporting Clownpiece, yes, sure. But that is nothing compared to the media might of McDonald's. If they can weather the clown takeover, they can certainly weather this attempt on their reputation. Getting Reimu involved, maybe this could work, but I don't see this as a certainty. Considering that I'm not 100% sure of Reimu's priorities on this compared to how there are the super evil maniacal clowns running around that could catch her attention more than helping Clownpiece win an election against a markedly less evil clown. Maybe she will judge that Ronald will be better for overall stability than Clownpiece, even if he's not from the same series as her. As for Clownpiece's attire, that's what Mage told me, so, blame him. Overall, this comment is too nerdy for me. Sorry, Mew.
I do not see Reimu working with Clownpiece either, sadly. Clownpiece's only allies are Hikacia, Junko, and the fairies. Maybe she could get some help from Gensokyo, but that isn't very likely. Also, Ducko! I told you that the fact that she was wearing the flag was a reference to the flag on the moon! I did forget to mention that the reason she wears it is to piss off the moon people. That's just a mistake on my part. Sorry about that, Ducko.
Clownpiece because of the fact that she can just wish to win. And how could she do that? If I recall correctly, I don't think she can grant wishes. There was the whole technicality mentioned in the video for how she could win. Additionally, if she could somehow get Sine on her side, there's miracle shenanigans, you fucking fool!
With a name like McFry, you betray your namesake by going over to the Clownpiece side? I say once again that this wishing shenanigan can be easily exposed for the dirty tactic that it is, or even undone entirely, due to Ronald being able to rewind time. With that out of the way, we will have to rely on their actual tactics, rather than some cheap insta-win.
People will be quite confused if Ronald said, "This girl wished to become the president. She is bad." That statement sounds so complete and utterly ridiculous. It'd make Ronald look crazy.
He may not even have to say that with his Will Smith power. Yeah! Then nobody will know. Whew.
Dio Brando says, Mage brings up a really good point that the people voting in the election more than likely have a twisted, morally skewed agenda. If Ronald and Clownpiece were trying to convince the modern America, I would absolutely give it to Ronald. But due to Clownpiece's hellish origins and mentality, I'll side with her. Mage actually failed to mention that not only can Clownpiece's wish be our ultimate trump card, but she can also wish for Ronald to perform worse, or even just drop it. Like, yeah, that sounds like really cheap and scummy, but isn't that what the clowns would want? You can argue that not all clowns are bad, but the majority of powerful ones like Pennywise, Violator, and Kefka are.
This goes into our most common sub-debate, the nature of good and evil in the clown population. I believe there are enough good average clowns in the populace to want to pull for one of the few clowns with enough political and magical power to compete on the level with all these clowns.
You gotta believe me, Ducko. The clowns are nothing but ultimate evil. They want to be the dominant species on the planet, and they'll destroy us all to make it happen. Destroy us all! Destroy us all!
Looking at the poll, it seems like Clownpiece got the popular vote. Now keep in mind, this is that of the viewers who voted, not the clowns themselves. Also, the comments do not show as much of an overwhelming majority, but a good portion of them lean towards Ronald. Settle down, Billy.
Destroy us? Okay, I have to agree with the poll results and more lean with the comments. Ronald would for sure win the elections for a lot of factors.
I've gone into a lot of reasons why I think Ronald wins, but that was a given. What made you switch your side over to the clown I compared to Jesus somehow?
It's quite literally that. Ronald is perfect and is in the perfect setting to take over. Starting with finances, there is no way the Clownpiece would have enough money to campaign at all. She doesn't even have a job. In fact, she lives under the Akuri Shrine, which also has essentially no income. Ronald, on the other hand, is part of this huge corporation that has helped spread his name far and wide. Clownpiece may take a huge boom upon arrival, but her name isn't going to reach everybody.
Yeah, Clownpiece would have to work a lot harder to be a household name in comparison to Ronald, who already has a big head start in that respect.
As for appealing to clowns, if we're going off the fact that clowns are just normal, nice people, and that evil clowns are essentially just bad people in this world that are likely imprisoned or hiding from the public, Ronald would have the advantage as well, although the nature of the citizens was never specified, so we can't say for certain. This is mostly a point that can go in either side's favor that is essentially worthless. As for wishing, I may have overplayed it a little bit. Fairies are creatures connected to nature. What they desire involving it should come true so long as it doesn't mess with everything completely. They can't wish for summer during winter and make it instantly summer. The only instance where we've seen a wish come true is when Star Sapphire wished for the clouds to part. We also saw other wishes that were made by fairies that weren't nature related, and those never came true. Those wishes being things like make fairies the strongest and whatnot. Clownpiece wishing would not affect the election whatsoever, not to mention that these wishes can only be done on July 7th. So even if she could wish to win the election, preventing the actual ceremonies of Tanabata would prevent her from making the wish in the first place.
Not to mention what I already said about Ronald undoing the wish if it happens anyways, meaning all these circumstances would be for naught.
While nature is a big issue, Ronald would more than likely be able to find a way to fix nature while also solving more issues than Clownpiece could. However, this also depends on the state of Americlown. If world hunger and whatnot are all fine, but nature is in big trouble, this would go in Clownpiece's favor if she fixed nature as a publicity stunt. However, this is either in Ronald's favor or neutral due to a lack of information. Then comes who they are as people. Ronald is a fantastic man with essentially no flaws, able to turn criminals into genuinely good people. He's literally perfect, no questioning it. Clownpiece is a fairy from hell who's learning human culture. She is prone to making mistakes and tries to change her attitude to fix them, but sometimes she doesn't quite learn her lesson. There's no question from the candidate's character alone that Ronald would win a vote to become the president. Clownpiece can make mistakes, Ronald can't. If you were to ask literally anybody to pick between a person with no flaws or someone with a few flaws to be the new president, I would bet money that 99% of people would pick someone with no flaws. McDonald's itself may be an issue, but Ronald could fix that easily, as Ducko said. Clownpiece would make her name known in the world, that's for sure, but she certainly would not be able to become the president.
I guess Ronald is a Gary Stew. I didn't expect to say that. But, let's see how it might go down in full.
With polling day arriving, Ronald and Clownpiece waited to see who would come out on top. It was soon revealed that Ronald had won, and would be sworn into office as the new president of the United States of Americlown. Clownpiece, meanwhile, was absolutely devastated that she hadn't been able to win the hearts of the people, and would have to meet with Acacia and likely receive some form of punishment. Instead of facing something severe for losing, she was greeted warmly. She may have lost, but she did what she could and gave Acacia quite a bit of entertainment as she did so. The two returned to Kinsokia with the rest of the fairies. The extravagance of nature in Americlown died to normalcy, as Ronald brought forth peace to the world and burgers for all.
Bacon.